What I have for you guys today is the Cyrusher Rover. It is a full suspension fat e-bike with a lot of motor, a lot of battery, a lot of suspension, a lot of everything. And it's not necessarily for the mountain biker, the athlete, but hey, if you're getting up there in age or you haven't ridden a bike in a while and you want to explore the beach trails, the national parks, the state parks, I might have something for you here. All right, Cyrusher Rover. When I first got him, I'm like, dang, that's a lot to look at. But then when I started riding it around, I've been riding it for a couple of days, I'm like, dang, this is pretty nice. If I was up there and I haven't ridden a bike in a while, this might be a good option. So what it has is full suspension, front and rear, has fat tires, 4.0 inch tires, has a 750 watt motor average, goes to 1400 peak, has 95 newton meters, so a lot of torque on this guy. Hub motor, and then we have an 810 watt hour battery, a lot of battery as well. Has a torque sensor, which kind of surprised me. Torque sensor is when it senses how much you're working, and then you could then it will help you proportionally. So very smooth. So it's like riding a real bike as opposed to a cadence sensor, which is kind of like a throttle scooter. All right, 7-speed, and it's got a nice drivetrain, big chain ring. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot you can do with this bike. It has a comfortable seat, high-rise bars that have a nice sweep to them, big brake levers, lighting, of course. Is there a horn? Maybe. Oh, that's one thing that's missing. Or maybe it's in the accessory packet. But so full suspension, but don't expect too much. But it is comfortable with the fat tires. Oh, I have it set pretty hard with the fat tires and that suspension. I'm only 155 pounds, but it was able to handle my weight pretty good. $50.99 is the price for this guy. And why don't I take you guys for a ride, and I'll talk to you guys about strengths and weaknesses, so I'm not wasting your time too much. All right, that was some test riding. Give you some GoPro footage right here. So got some throttle. Handy to have a throttle on rough terrain or getting started. And right there, sandy, but normally I would slide out, but the fat tires got my back. And right here, really cool that I have a class 3 because the light turned green. I was able to change lanes and I was able to get the light. And that's what 28 miles an hour can do for you. It gives you more options. And right here, I'm going about 30 miles an hour, keeping up with that truck. So keeping up with traffic, it's actually safer when you don't have a big differential with automobiles. And then boom, I get on a real trail. That was a steep descent, steeper than it looks, and no problem. All right, strengths. Definitely, it's comfortable and stable. You feel secure on this thing. Everything is kind of built well. It handles nicely. I had the tires pumped up pretty hard because it's full suspension, and that enables it to maneuver with more agility than a normal fat bike with. And the bars, they make sense. It's a high rise. They look kind of funny with the long stem, but they make sense. Super comfortable. And I was actually really pedaling, which was kind of the big surprise. This is a class 3 e-bike, has a throttle, goes to 20 miles an hour, and it goes to 28 miles an hour. It starts cutting off at 28, so not at 26. So I was able to pedal at 30 miles an hour, which is really cool because I'm like, damn, I'm 30, I'm keeping up with cars, but I feel safe. So that was kind of surprising me. Usually I'm riding high-end mountain bikes and commuter bikes. All right, so what else? Torque sensor is really cool. To find it here, you have a throttle anyway, so why don't you get the smoothest pedaling assistance, when the rider wants to pedal. Like I said, the suspension works. It's not too hard. It's not just made for the heaviest people, 300-pound people. I was feeling comfort in it. It's got lights that are very nice, and nice control switch here as well. It's like a kind of a nice panel, but it works. And then you turn on the lights, and the brake lights are the best I've ever seen on any e-bike, because they're as far back as possible, one on each side, and they're horizontal. Let's see. So they're tail lights and brake lights. Look at that. And the next thing I discovered is it can climb. My steepest hill. First I did all throttle, and it made it, but it was bogging down. But you just pedal a little bit, help it out a little bit, and it's climbing a lot of stuff. And then the other advantage is the drivetrain. A lot of these e-bikes, class 3, they have a tiny chainring in the front, and at 19, 20 miles an hour, you spin out, so you can't really help to get it to 28. But this one you can really help. On the same time, the big ring cassette on the back is a little small. So when you're climbing hills, I wish this was bigger, because with the front being so big and the rear small, you don't have a lot of gearing down for the steep hills. But the motor is so strong that I was able to climb the hills. So weaknesses, the first one is it's not a looker. When you look at the lines, like, whoa, what's going on? It's a huge down tube. So I don't think they designed it for the full aesthetics. They just designed it to work. So if you're very concerned about curb appeal and looking great out there, that's a little weakness on this. Luckily, it all works together. The next weakness is the stem is very long. Look at the stem. Looks like old school, like a 100 millimeter, 120. This should be shorter. It's a fairly long reach anyway, like a 460 reach. So, keep the short and keep the person kind of more compact and upright. Another weakness, like I mentioned, is you could use a bigger cassette. A bigger cassette would give it a wider range of gearing to work with this ideal front ring for a class 3 e-bike. And then, just nitpicking here, the brake levers are huge. They're like motorcycle levers. Good leverage, but you don't really need it that big. This is a bicycle after all. So they're all like 4-finger levers, but the brakes are good. What's my overall take? I was surprised. For my first impression, I go, oh no, it doesn't look like it's designed right. It looks like a conglomeration of many things. But I was surprised. It was actually really rideable. You can see I took it on some trails, right? Climbed some hills, and I went 30 miles an hour. Got a big battery, big motor. So if you don't know exactly what you're gonna do with an e-bike, you just know you need to get one because all your neighbors and all your friends and relatives are getting one, then this is not a bad option right here. So links in the description, and I appreciate you guys for staying through the video. Thanks a ton.